is Trump basically signaling before he even gets to the negotiating table that he's willing to more or less give Putin what he's asking for?
No, I don't think so. I think he's saying what's realistic, which is that this only ends with a negotiated settlement. Both parties are going to have to go home and feel like they got out of this with something that looks like a victory. I don't think there's ever going to be a scenario where Putin goes back to Moscow and takes a knee and waves a white flag, and you certainly don't want that for Zelensky because the Ukrainians are the victims here. They're the ones who've been invaded. Something's going to have to happen on the edges, and if you want it to end. And I think there's new public opinion polling in Ukraine that indicates the people there are very fatigued by this war. They're certainly hoping for it to end sooner rather than later. The head of the NATO Secretary General is acknowledging publicly that, yes, there's going to have to be some concessions here to get the war to end. The president has solved like 7 conflicts this year. I'm willing to give him some latitude to talk to Vladimir Putin and break the deadlock and try to move us toward a place where the killing comes to an end, because I think that's what we should all be praying for.
He actually hasn't solved 7 conflicts. There's been a lot of talk about that.
What reality do you live in? He's literally got these guys in the White House where they're signing documents and shaking hands.
Acknowledge
the man is solving peace.
India questioned about whether that was an actual deal.
It happens on almost a weekly basis.
Just
acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it.
And I will also acknowledge that Donald Trump seems to have an affinity for Vladimir Putin in a way. No, you're not going to get away with calling me a liar. I know that's like the line you like to throw out, but I'm not lying.
You're lying.
Nobody's lying about anything.
Okay.
You can ask the countries who were involved in this whether those conflicts were actually solved by Donald Trump or whether it was pomp and circumstance.
Okay.
Anyway,
whatever you say. You're the expert.
So Donald Trump's affinity for Vladimir Putin versus the way he treats Zelensky, who's the one
Did he
that's
show
actually
affinity to them when he just arranged for the arms to
Can you just
NATO?
let her finish
I'm just
real quick
sorry,
so that
Abby.
we can...
We're saying things that do not exist in reality.
That is absolutely not
He just got NATO to do hundreds of millions of dollars of lethal weapons to Ukraine. What affinity to Russia
and NATO
is
was
that?
also
It's
doing
crazy.
that before Donald Trump
Let me just
did.
let her finish so I can even understand what point she's trying to make.
Good
Let me let her
question.
finish the point.
For years, and now because it's an they're trying to change the subject.
Is Biden a useful idiot?
Okay.
Because the deadlock had to be broken.
Yes.
The government is in direct communication with Ukraine. We're in direct communication with NATO and our European allies. And so conversations have to begin at some point. So, yes, am I comfortable with this conversation taking place? I am. Am I willing to give the president with a proven track record of striking peace deals some latitude? Absolutely. Did he inherit this mess from the previous administration that called it a, quote, minor incursion? He absolutely did.